All right. So, Maick, Harald, thank you very much for taking your time being here guests in the battery expedition vehicle, which is standing right in front of TSE Trawler. And also, Maick and Harald, thank you also again for this extensive tour, showing me all the insights on the competence that you provide to our industry. So, before we jump into today's discussion and really highlight the key competences, how did you find into the field of batteries?
So I started with the TSC trawler in 2008, and in 2010, TSC became the first project for a battery application, and this project was for a car manufacturer and a battery manufacturer with that a joint venture project. And that was for me the first time when I got in contact with this battery industry.
Mm-hmm. Harald, how about you?
And for me, it was the same project,
Okay.
but I'm with the company about 10 years longer,
Okay.
almost 28 years now
Wow.
with the company. And yeah, this project was very interesting because it already included intermittent coating, which is a challenging task
Mm-hmm.
for a coating guy. And then we had projects also with Asian and US based battery manufacturers,
Mm-hmm.
which which used our dyes in their pilot and R&D facility.
Okay. So since then, how would you describe the development of TSE Trawler in the space of battery production, manufacturing, and segueing over to the key competences that you guys provide to our industry in 2025?
So I would say so after the first project in 2010, it was rather slow. So we had projects in the battery field, but not so many, maybe
Mm-hmm.
2 up to 5 each year. But then in 2018, 2019, it really made um, a higher number in terms of the amount of projects every year.
Yes.
So now we have 10 times more than we had the first 10 years
Mm-hmm.
each year.
So what type of projects are these that you have with the customers in the field of battery technology?
It varies. We have several, or we had several projects for pilot equipment, for R&D equipment, for basic research in the field
Mm-hmm.
of batteries, but also in a very applied field of research, more going into the direction of small scale production
Mm-hmm.
amount. And this was, I would say, over the last 7, 8 years, our main focus in these fields. But we already started to produce some dyes also for production machines, for production lines.
Mm-hmm. So your key innovation lies in a specific component, right? Can you explain this for layman's terms, like what is the slot die and what are coating technologies as such? Because you're not only delivering slot dies, as I know, but
Mhm.
maybe you can elaborate on your product portfolio for a second and explain the key innovation that you put forward, that we understand, like what is the portfolio, as I said, that you deliver, but also the how, like what makes you unique.
Yeah, maybe I'm asking that. I'm answering that. The key difference between our dyes and other dyes, coating dyes, slot dyes, are the distribution system inside to distribute the liquids in cross-web direction,
Mm-hmm.
and the mechanical precision inside the slots.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the key, the two key parameters for a successful coating are, on one hand, a very precise slot, the exit of the liquid before the liquid is transferred to the web,
Mm-hmm.
aluminum or copper foil. And the second component is when you are coating
Mm-hmm.
over a while, that you avoid settlement of the rather heavy pigments which you have, or particles which you
Mm-hmm.
have in the liquids.
Causing
And
agglomeration then.
agglomeration, and also just settlement of the
Mm.
pigments. And this is what makes us unique, because our distribution systems are optimized to avoid this.
Okay, so let's explain this in the context of battery manufacturing. So we have the electrode, which consists of a substrate, the web that you just
Mhm.
called it, right? Can be copper or aluminum foil, which is based on a roll-to-roll process, like the company Mattis is providing, right? We just visited together a couple of hours ago. And you're delivering the component which is allowing a uniform coating of the active material onto the substrate, or the web, as you
Correct.
called it, right?
Yep.
And this viscous paste that is called slurry, pushing through it, has unique properties which can cause agglomeration or some other sedimentation, which then could cause a non-uniform coating, right?
Correct. Or maybe defects such as coating lines or bands
Mm-hmm.
in the coating. And to optimize the internal distribution system, there is a big knowledge, or a sound knowledge needed of rheology parameters, and how the liquids, how the slurries behave under shear, under different conditions.
TSC Troller has 3 different market fields, and everything started with the photographic industry. In the photographic industry, where the coating die heads have been used to produce or to coat the analog photo film, they had a very high demand on precision, because it's an optical product. And this can we use now in a lot of other industries, for example, the paper industry, medical application, labeling, and also for electronic application like battery or organic photovoltaic. And this helps us today to go deeper into the knowledge of liquid, the physical behavior of the liquids, and then of course, in the mechanical precision of our dies, how they have to be produced to guarantee such a very good accuracy of the coated wet film.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe what I would like to add quickly is that we, from the photographic industry, we were used to build coating dies in a 60-inch, 1.6 meter wide application range, or working range, and the narrow applications which are requested right now, that this is for us more downsizing
Like
than
toys.
yeah,
I'm
it's
just
not
kidding.
choice.
Yeah.
The requirements are still high.
Yeah.
But we are used to build wider dies with very high precision.
Mm-hmm. So one question I also wanted to ask you in terms of the European battery ecosystem and building up the industrial competence. At the moment, many gigalines are struggling on building up their competence and ramping up their processes to really manufacture with a high yield rate, so a high overall equipment effectiveness, so OEE. And many of those problems are rooted back to the heart of the coating. So the understanding of the slurry and mixing slurry interaction, or producing the slurry, but also then the slurry coating interaction with the substrate, providing a uniform coating, etc., etc. Can you explain a couple of pitfalls that you see in our industry at the moment, and how you could provide your competence to help our industry to get forward, to make progress on this? So also maybe thinking about the services that you offer, for example.
One topic I'm stumbling over a
Yeah.
lot when I'm doing installations or trials with customers together, is that there is not such a deep understanding of the coating process itself. The most of the engineers, technicians, they know exactly what they would like to achieve in terms of electrochemistry and function of the battery itself. But the production process, or the coating process in particular, is not very well known in this industry. And this is to me a pity, because a lot of people from former photographic companies have been migrated into different other industries, and they would bring the knowledge of especially slot coating.
Yes.
But this is not so very well used in the industry.
So do you see a buildup of knowledge at the moment, or how can we support that?
There is some knowledge, or some grown experience and knowledge in the industry. But what we see a lot is that equipment for producing and also for developing the battery electrodes is kind of flexible, as nobody wants to commit for a certain application range. And due to the flexibility, the outcome or the yield is not as they would like to see. And our specialty is to build dies with an optimized geometry, with an optimized distribution system, and a high-class production level, precision level, in order to provide a good result without any calibrations on the equipment during the startup.
Okay. So you're also doing some testing in-house here, right? You showed me that during our factory tour.
Yeah, we can offer on a sheet coater in A4 size sheets here in-house feasibility tests. Sometimes customers are not sure if their liquids would run on or would be coatable on a slot die, and then they can approach us. We do trials here together on a sheet coater and point out the most important parameters, topics. We can optimize these parameters already. And then if needed, or if the customer would like to have some more samples, then we can go together, for example, to Mattis for running roll-to-roll trials there.
Okay. So, and maybe if you want, Mike, some words about the Made in Switzerland understatement and quality. I was quite impressed during the factory tour. You gave me an extensive insights. What fascinates you the most about your company and the way you deliver your competence and services to our industry? You're a rather small company, but you're delivering a key competence for a vital industry for Europe. And maybe from an entrepreneurial point of view, how do you see TSE Trawler evolve for the next years in this industry?
So our employees there are all high educated because the dies which we produce are customer made. So each die head is a single part, and they have only one chance if they start in the morning and they have to produce these parts. So they have to be very careful and good in that what they do. And at the end, maybe 40% of all the work which is involved in such a die head is handwork.
Yeah.
And at the end, this hand lapping process takes 2 to 3 years to educate such a person that he gets the skills to do this in that way that we need it. And this makes, of course, me very proud be part of that, and that they have at the end a product which they are also very proud of, because it's always nice to see such a finished die head at the end before it goes out from our workshop.
You could really notice that when we had the tour, that they were proud of their job and the competence that they built up. And it was kind of a calm place, I would say, like a very, not meditative, but very concentrated. And why I found that so interesting, because it really showed, it symbolized that we really have to put our hands to the matter and not dare to really get physical, right, with this work. And this was what just inspired me, that not everything is automated if you want to get to perfection.
Yes.
So you have to put handwork in.
Every small detail counts.
Yes, yes.
And therefore you need an eye on what you do.
Yes. So, talking about Europe and the current situation, I asked 3 key questions to all leading figures of this expedition. And that is the first question: the key challenges that you see for Europe holding us back. What do you see as stumbling stones that provide or don't give us access to this great success that batteries really should thrive on at the moment, but that I don't see to the extent that we would wish for?
So in the car industry, I think the vehicles are still too expensive. It should maybe be um, a big step cheaper, that really the mass would buy such vehicles, and this makes it difficult to really get to the numbers which we use to have more production lines also in Europe.
Okay.
But also the say the environment in terms of governments and regulations and so on, they are not straightforward. It seems to be like a zigzag line in the past few years. And sometimes in 1 year, a lot of companies jump in one direction, and in the next year, they stop, and then they have to go in a different direction because they recognize that some regulations have changed. There is maybe not so a long-term strategy like over the next 5 years or 10 years, we're following this road.
How would you place Switzerland in this system? Are they more proactive, or are they just behaving like the rest of the ecosystem at the moment, kind of finding their identity with e-mobility, but not just yet really all in?
In terms of infrastructure, I would say in Switzerland it is already pretty well developed. When you take the highways, even on the small parking areas, there is maybe 4 charging stations, and on the next one another 4, and so on. So in terms of infrastructures, I think it's good. In terms of making the sales better, or providing more or getting more people interested in this. The price situation, the cost situation is the same as in the other countries. And there is also not really a big support given by the government when you buy an electrical vehicle.
So that's on the contrary, but we are doing this expedition, and you became partner of this expedition, and thank you for that, to look forward and to build up our strength and use the potential that is there. If you would give each of you one bullet point, what is the big potential that we could build up on?
So, in my opinion, all the core competences are around in Europe. So we just have to work closer together, and also that maybe there would be end customer which would then work together with all the European manufacturers of machinery and sub-suppliers and so on. So that the European end customer would have the courage to invest maybe more money in the first step, but in a longer term, the payback would be much better, because the accuracy of the coating is better, much less downtime because of a better running machine, and so on. So pay a little bit more, but save in a long-term view money, and that needs some courage to do that.
Okay. Harald, do you want to add something?
Yeah, maybe I was on the battery conference, IBPC last week, and there were discussions about public money which is pushed into the battery industry from Germany, from the European Union, from other countries. And at the end, the machine builders, or not the machine builders, the car manufacturers or the battery manufacturers, they were allowed or they were open to purchase the cheapest equipment they could get, and that is coming from Asia. But this is paid with European public money. And this is a gap in a lot of people's eyes that should not happen. So a little bit of that money which is given by the public should be at least stay in Europe.
So would you argue for closer communication to align the potential more and to then create these opportunities for all European companies to opt in and deliver to those projects, right? So my final question, the third question that I ask every guest on this show is your call to action. If there's one advice, and just one advice, what would you give?
Pure technical point of view.
Okay.
So I'm the coating
You're
guy.
the CTO, so
I'm the technology person.
yeah.
I would recommend to the battery manufacturers, to car manufacturers, however, to dive a little bit deeper into the details of the coating process itself, and not to focus only on the investment cost, but also on the operating costs. When the capex is the lowest, then they purchase this equipment. But when the OPEX are higher than with that was basically the same what Maick already mentioned. You have to look a little bit in long term and then
The
decide.
TCO, right?
Yeah.
TCO is key.
Yeah.
So, Maick, what would be your call to action?
So, in my opinion, we should secure the European industry a bit of the Asian or others that I don't know, maybe with regulations that we could also be competitive in a way, but this is at the moment not the case, and that would be my wish.
So that we have a little bit protection from the governmental entities in order to let the seed of European battery industry flourish on the way up to that it becomes economically competitive in the global landscape of competition.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So I think you're delivering the right competence for that, right? For one part of this value chain, and I'm looking forward to support another and jointly building this ecosystem. So thank you for the invitation and the further conversations we have.
Thank you
Thanks.
as well.